Welcome back. In this section we're going to look at the right hand. As I said earlier, we're going to do some comping patterns, which are things that you can play behind a soloist. So essentially what you're doing is keeping the chords going and also providing some interesting, hopefully, rhythm patterns. Okay, before we start I'm going to show you a little bit of theory because that will make everything else easier to follow. So bear with me for a moment. Now we're working in the key of C, and there's three chords we're using. We're using the C chord. We call that C7. We're using the F chord. That's F7. Notice if I put my hand here on the C chord, I can then move it without changing my finger positions to the F chord, and I can just plonk my hand right down. If I try this with the 5 chord though, something goes wrong. This finger ends up floating in space because there's no black note here. But we can fix that. If we look at this bottom 3 notes, we see the next note, in fact if we start from the bottom, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of these is called a semitone. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And all the chords have that same pattern. So the F chord is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so the 5 chord will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's that. Now, in addition to those 4 notes, there's another 3 notes that are called extensions. And these have names, or numbers, whichever you like. We call that the 9, we call that the 11, we call that the 13. Why? Because if you count up from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And if we take these and put them down here, we get all these notes. All these white notes, in the case of C, plus that one there. Let's do that again. That has a special name. It's a fancy name too. It's called the Mixolydian mode, starting on C. If we want to do that on F, it's that. Oops. And on G, it's this. All the white notes. Now, in the C chord, this note, which is the 3rd, 1, 2, 3, and this note, which is the 7, define the chord. There's actually 2 other chords that are similar, but they sound different. If I take the 3rd, and I move it down the semitone to there, I get C minor 7. You can hear that sounds quite different. Now if I take the 7 and I move it up here, we get C major 7. That's confusing, isn't it? Because if we describe the chord as minor, it means we move that finger, and if we describe it as major, it means we move this finger. So when we pick this note and this note, it defines the chord to be C7. So if we want to define the chord when we're copying, we can play just those 2 notes. Then for F it's this note. That's fine a lot of the time, but sometimes your soloist wants to go outside the scale and wants, for example, instead of playing this chord, to play this chord. And you don't want to be in the way. So we can play some of the other more neutral notes for the C chord. Now look at this note and this note. They're interesting because they occur in the C scale, oops, the F scale, see, there and there, and in G scale. So we can do this. Isn't that easy? Don't even have to move our fingers. One more thing. We can play all those notes at the same time. If there's not so many people, that will help produce a bigger sound. As you can see, you don't have to play all the notes all the time. You can put little patterns in there. There's one more thing you can do to make it more interesting. You can use any of these notes in a C chord, and you can use any of these notes in an F chord, and so on. So you can do things like this. You can play little melodies underneath. Well, thank you for watching this video. I'll probably do a few more showing you the blues scales and some other ideas. Check out the Cascade Blues Association website. I'll put a message up there with a pointer to where these videos are. But bye for now.